Sixers Nation, what is going on? We got a brand new Saturday morning show for you guys with my dudes Tone from Chalk It Up Sports and Mike Sports Vibes. We'll be right here every Saturday morning talking about the Philadelphia 76ers and the highs and the lows and all of the emotions and all of the drama. There's definitely a lot of that every year. So, you know, as content creators, whatever way we feel about the team, at least they keep giving us content, man. This team always gives me something to talk about. So I gotta love them for that.
That's a fact.
Be active in the chat, like the channel, like the stream, subscribe to all three channels: Running Back Philly, Chalk It Up Sports, and Mike Sports Vibes. What's going on, fellas? You ready to get into it?
Yes, I am. Hey, it's a lot to get into. There's only been 2 games, but I feel like we've been in the season for like 3 weeks. Like
it's exhausting.
I've gone through a few emotions watching some of these games. The first game, I had a feeling we weren't going to win that one. This one, I felt like we should have had this one. And we'll get into the details. Eastwood, I can't wait, man. Mike, how you feeling, man?
Man, mixed feelings. The only good news is we ain't see Paul George and Joel Embiid back yet in the lineup, so they should be a lot better than what we're seeing. But the bad news is just like we don't know what the heck is going on when it comes to the injury of Joel Embiid, and we know what Paul George is going through, but at the same time, we don't know how long he's going to be out for. So that's, you know what I mean, mixed feelings right now.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Listen, we got to start with last night. Sixers versus Raptors. They lose 115-107. But in my opinion, it's not just second game of the season. They're figuring out. I mean, it is second game of the season. They're figuring out chemistry. A lot of moving parts. But they got absolutely ran off the floor by the Toronto Raptors, who are going to be in contention for the number 1 overall pick, who also did not have 5 of their best players: Kelly Olynyk, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and others. There was some guys on this squad last night that are on 10-day contracts that were giving the 76ers buckets in crunch time. Let me read some of these names: Bruno Fernando, Jonathan Mogbo, DJ Carton, Davion Mitchell's a known name. There was another one that was a crazy name. He's not even on the stat sheet, bro.
I know who Mitchell is.
Jamison Battle.
Yeah.
Jamison Battle gave us 12 points on 4 for 5 to guys on a 10-day contract. So, you know, in my opinion, you know, people are like, yeah, it's only the second game, whatever, be patient or whatever. But I don't think these NBA veterans should be getting run off the floor by the likes of Jamison Battle and Jonathan Mogbo and DJ Carton. So I had a little bit of a rant last night. Don't even really remember what I said. So, you know, you guys give me your opinion on that game and the Sixers, you know, start to this season.
It's funny, Eastwood and Mike, you said they lost to a bunch of guys who were on 10-day contracts, right? And those guys for the Raptors were playing like they were on 10-day contracts. They were playing like they had something to play for. Whereas the Sixers, it just seems to me these first 2 games, they've been borderline sleepwalking through these games. I mean, okay, the Bucks, you win the rebounding battle, but interior defense is terrible. Perimeter defense is terrible. You can't make a drop in the ocean. Tyrese Maxey's been very inefficient. I try to treat him with as much grace as possible because I know he's the only guy out there. He's trying to make something happen. I try to treat that with a grain of salt, right? But then you get to this Raptors game and you say to yourself, okay, this is a game you should win. You're more experienced all the way around. All the way around, you're more experienced. And I think you would think on paper you're more talented. But then when you see how the Raptors were playing, to me, that game wasn't won and lost by talent. That game was won and lost by effort. It was won and lost on the boards. It was won and lost with the body language. Nick Nurse kind of blew my mind with one lineup. He had this one lineup out there, and I tracked them all last night, which is annoying because they change them every 2 minutes. But I tracked them all last night, He had this one lineup out there that featured, and I want to make sure I got this right here. He had Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre, Adeem Bona, is that his name?
Yeah.
And KJ Martin out there.
And KJ.
And who was the last one?
KJ
Martin and the kid Bona. He was a rookie, I think, that they drafted in the second round or something like that.
Yeah.
In the McCain draft.
He was supposed to be the center.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this lineup, and it didn't last a damn minute. That lineup was awful. So again, right? I mean, you've been seeing these past two games. Nurse has been trying to mix and match these lineup and just try to find the offense, try to find the consistent presence on offense, right? And he's clearly juggling between an offensive lineup versus a defensive lineup because your defensive lineup too slow with Andre Drummond. He hustles. Don't get me wrong, he hustles and he mucks it up down there, but offensively, he's limited. He can't make free throws at all. I think that's another thing that lost in the game too. You were missing. You weren't shooting well all the way around the board, right? You started off the game efficient. You started the game efficient from three, but you really weren't efficient from the field, if we're being honest. Okay, it's the first quarter, whatever. But throughout that whole game, you saw Toronto becoming more efficient. Just like in the Bucks game, you saw the Bucks becoming more efficient. Whereas though the Sixers, they were getting less efficient as the game went along, right? You weren't efficient from the field. You weren't efficient from three. You weren't efficient from the free throw line. You weren't even efficient as a fouler. Like they were just fouling like crazy. It was so many fouls last night. Hard game to watch, but that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I'm disappointed. I expected a little bit more from Maxey efficiency-wise, but I understand he's trying to make something happen. These teams, they're collapsing on him. They're pretty much saying, hey, eliminate Maxey, force everybody else to beat us. He didn't drop a single point in the third quarter. Am I tripping? He dropped like a bucket or 2 points. It was something like that. He barely was a factor in the second half. They eliminated him completely.
Right. Yeah. For me, I don't know where to start. My goodness, the Raptors looked like they was the dang on Boston Celtics. I didn't know what to even think. Like, who are these dudes, and why are they making our Sixers team? We don't have Paul George or Joel Embiid, but they're making us look like, I don't want to say scrubs.
Soft. It made us soft, in my opinion.
Out hustled us in every way. They played better defense. They were more efficient offensively.
Yes.
We couldn't hit our free throws. Tyrese Maxey was 2 of 12 from 3 for the entire game. I don't know what that's about. I mean, I know the defense is more like, yo, we're going to stop him and take him out the game. But my goodness, you got to shoot a little bit better from 3. You can't shoot it that many times and only make 2 threes the whole entire game. We missed a lot of free throws. I love Andre Drummond. He's a rebound machine. But when that man goes to the free throw line, it's like a almost guarantee he's going to miss at least once. He's going to miss probably both of them, but he's going to miss at least once. When it comes to the lineups, like what you were saying, like Kyle Lowry, I'm not the biggest fan of Kyle Lowry. I don't know, man. And Eric Gordon he played somewhat good defense, but he just seems slow. Like, I don't know what it is. And then Reggie Jackson, when he came in the game, played for like 2-4 minutes. I don't know what the heck is going on, man. Like
that was the lineup. That was the lineup I was going to say.
That was the lineup. That was the lineup. Even though the one I mentioned was still bad, but that was the lineup that really threw me. Reggie Jackson.
Bro, dude, he had Lowry, Reggie Jackson, and Jared McCain on the floor together. 3 point guards, first of all, a rookie, and 2 40-year-olds. I have no idea.
McCain, Oubre, Jackson, slow. Lowry, Drummond. What are you doing with that lineup?
I don't know, man. But see, now it makes me feel like we need another center. Like, we need another center to back up Drummond, especially if Joel Embiid is going to be out. We don't know what's going on with him. It's like, and then it's just like, why do we seem so slow? And then, like, I know it's only 2 games. I'm not trying to go crazy with it, but Caleb Martin, I don't know if it's just he's not getting plays called for him, but he only shot the ball 2 times for like the first 3 quarters or something like that. I'm like, yo, Caleb Martin, you got to be more aggressive. You can't just put it on Kelly Oubre Jr. and Tyrese Maxey. Somebody else got to step their game up. And it seemed like nobody wanted to do anything offensively to help the Sixers stay afloat. Because we won the first quarter, you know what I mean? But after that, we just went downhill from there. So somebody else got to step their game up. And I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm expecting more from Caleb Martin. You know what I mean? It just seemed like he didn't get aggressive until when the game was almost like out of reach. He started to finally do something. But
Vibes, did you notice he only took 2 threes over the past 2 games?
Yeah,
only took, not made, took.
Mm-hmm.
He's passing up open shots, and I don't understand what that's about. I mean, if listen, PG and B not there, I'm chucking up every time I get the ball. I'm getting it up there, and then like we saw how he played with the Heat, aggressive, letting it go from deep. He's an efficient shooter. I don't understand. It literally looks like he's trying not to impact the game. Is he trying to
like scared
Eastwood? What do you
or
think? Like, is he trying to feel himself around the game? Is he trying to find out where he
Yeah.
fits into the offense? Because he gets his hand on the ball often, and I'll be honest with you, I saw him fall to the ground way too many times today. Way too many times. So I mean, Eastwood, but what's your thoughts on Caleb Martin? Like, is he just trying to fit in? Like, what is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence things when it comes to, throwing a bunch of new guys on a new team, and then you lose your main two of your main scorers, and a lot of these dudes are just, they just came here to be a role player, and now they're like, wait, am I supposed to be the guy? Am I supposed to be the number 2 right now? Should I be shooting this ball when it swings to me? And you can tell it swings to Caleb Martin, and you're right. I'm getting PJ Tucker vibes. I used to call him pump fake PJ. You know what I mean? He was in the corner. He was supposed to be a great corner 3-point shooter, and he was pump faking every time he was out there open. And I saw the same thing from Caleb Martin a couple times last night and in the first game. And yeah, I just think it's guys that are like, they don't really know their role right now. They don't really know what they're supposed to be doing. It starts to look like a straight YMCA pickup game because you just have so many new bodies, and you lost 2 of your leaders, and it's really just a bunch of role players running in circles, and nobody really knows what's supposed to happen. And then you got Tyrese Maxey, who's trying to make something happen, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of a system going on. And he's forcing things, and he's off balance, and he's out of rhythm, and that's why the shooting is 6 for 23, 2 for 12 from 3. And people are going to overreact. It's not like Tyrese Maxey lost his shooting touch. Everything's completely out of rhythm and feels kind of forced. You know what I mean? So that the whole thing is designed to run around Joel Embiid, and it's another year of it's just the fact the whole thing is designed to run around Joel Embiid, and when he's gone, you have to have a second game plan. There has to be some kind of system when he's not there, especially with the way that they're entering this year. They're going to be without him for a while. I need to see some kind of system or some kind of order, without Joel Embiid. And it's the second game. They're definitely, one thing about Nick Nurse is they're going to go in practice. They're going to look at film. This is a coach that is locked in every day, practice, game, whatever. So I don't expect it to look like this for very much longer, but maybe it's a good thing they went out there and got smacked in the face to start the season, because, man, they got to get in the lab, man. They got to get in the lab. Speaking of Nick Nurse, I want to ask you guys your thoughts on him, not just last night, but overall, because I thought it was a crazy just dynamic of last year. Raptors fans told me this guy won't play young talent. Good luck. You're going to hate him in no time. That's what they told me, right? And then you go back to Toronto against your old team that fired you. All the fans claim that one of the reasons he got fired was that he refuses to play young talent. And you get ran off the floor by a bunch of young talent while refusing to play young talent. And you got Kyle Lowry out there, Eric Gordon out there for 40 minutes. It felt like you got Reggie Jackson on the floor for no reason. I don't even want him to be on the roster right now. He looks completely washed. I just was getting very Doc Rivers vibes, like scared to throw a bunch of young guys out there and just running with his favorite old players. And it's a young man's game, man. They're going to get ran off the floor, When you need a second creator too, man, where the hell is Jared McCain? And when you put him in the game, you put him in there with 2 other point guards. Like, just put some trust in somebody for 5 minutes and see what happens. I want to see. Right? Yeah. So I'm definitely frustrated with what Nick Nurse did in that game and what he's been doing, but I expect it to get better. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah. I definitely have been frustrated with Nick Nurse the past couple games. Overall, and I'll get into why the past couple games, but overall though, I feel like Nick Nurse is one of the better coaches in the league. I mean, I feel like you can do significantly worse than Nick Nurse. If I had to really give Nick Nurse arbitrary ranking in the league, I would probably say Nick Nurse is probably a top 10 head coach in this NBA.
I go top 5. I'd go probably top 3, honestly. Spoelstra, Nurse, and a couple others. Yeah,
he's up there.
You got to. I mean, and he's earned his keep. I mean, as an assistant, worked his way up. Took over for Dwayne Casey, won the championship. So yeah, I mean, he has a resume, and he's, from what I've heard, players tend to like him. As far as the past couple games, though, I felt like in that first game, we didn't run with a Kyle Lowry led rotation enough in the first game because I felt like that was the most efficient offense we saw in the first game. That was just me. Then game 2, you start with Kyle Lowry, which I was fine with. But then when Kyle Lowry goes to the bench and you still want to keep Maxey off ball, allow him to just operate and focus on scoring, who's going to be that ball handler? And
exactly.
I felt like he was trying to choose everybody but McCain.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And look, I don't know if he looks at McCain as more of a off ball or more of a 2 guy, more of a spot up guy, whatever it is. But at this point in the season, me personally, I'm getting my young guys on the court. I believe in playing young guys early so I can at least know what they are. And then at that point, when we get midway through the season, they got what 20, 30 games under their belt. They're confident. They know where they fit in. They know whether or not they can play in this league, at least a little bit. But Jared McCain, you got to get him out there. You got to get him confident. You want him to be useful, right? And I just feel like right now, as much as I love Max and I like him at the 1 when PG and Embiid are there, I feel like as of right now, you have to play him off the ball. He has to be allowed to score. He has to be allowed to drive and kick if he sees something. I will say he did a better job, Maxey, that is. He did a better job driving and trying to keep his eyes open for everybody. He did a better job. But as the game waned, you saw frustration creeping in. You saw it. Right. And he was just trying to just make something happen, throwing stuff up there. I haven't seen Tyrese Maxey take a balanced shot yet. He looks like he's always trying to fade for extra space, fade for extra room. And I just think Nick Nurse probably has to do a little bit of it's a struggle right now. You're missing 2 guys that's going to eat up at least 70 to 75 minutes a game for you. Right. So you got to figure out, okay, who's going to give me that size and versatility that Embiid and PG will give you? PG and Embiid, they're 2-way players. You're missing guys that give you a lot. And now you're relying on a bunch of utility guys to try to fill in those minutes. And it just can't work. It just can't work if they just dog. Look, missing PG and Embiid was not on the bingo card to start the season. I'll tell you that right now.
It should have been.
Well, at least not PG though. The PG thing we saw what happened. That was strange. That was weird. That was a freaking. That was somebody said that was a zesty injury.
I don't understand.
And I was like, that was crazy. But regardless, though, I think Nick Nurse has to do a better job of just figuring out who's going to be that ball handler so Maxey can operate. Right. And then just trying to find that balance between Drummond and Yabusele. Yabusele, he gives you a lot of intensity, a lot of energy, but a little bit of he's an undisciplined defender sometimes. He can foul a little bit too much too soon. I like him rolling to the basket, cutting. I like him offensively. Mm-hmm. Defensively, he's more undisciplined than Drummond. So you like Drummond defensively, but then you're limited offensively. So it's like that's going to be the struggle right now. That's the struggle, and you gotta pick your poison and live and die by it and try to master it, right? If you're going to roll with Yabusele as your starting 5, okay, you got to try to make that work. If you're going to roll with Drummond, you got to do your best to make sure he's not that much of a liability. So his biggest challenge right now is figuring out am I going to keep Maxey at the 1 or am I going to run him at the 2 off ball? And number 2, what is my rotations going to look like? How can I find the rotation that can generate the most offense and keep us efficient? I think that's his struggle right now.
Yeah, because the offense does look really stagnant.
Yes.
And Nick Nurse, like, he is giving me Doc River vibes, man. Like, it does suck because you're just like, you got to play your young players because you got to see what you have. You know what I mean? So you don't want to get into later in the season or in the playoffs and you need to play some of your young guys and you haven't gave them no opportunity. So they're going to be out of it. They're not going to be in rhythm. They're not going to have the confidence that you want them to have when it counts the most. So it's just like, I just hope that he gives McCain more opportunity. And I hope that, I don't want to see Reggie Jackson. I just get him off the team. I agree with that. Eric Gordon, he did make some defensive plays, but he looks a little slow as well. Slow, yeah. And when it comes to Tyrese Maxey, I can't really blame him because it's just like he's everything right now for the Sixers offensively. So it's just like he was playing pretty good though. Some of the assists that he had yesterday, like those
Yeah.
bounce passes to the lane, I was like, oh snap!
He started
Tyrese
off
Maxey?
strong. He had his behind the back pass right to Oubre, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He had 4 assists in the first quarter. I think the first quarter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
13 and 5.
and
He had 13 and 5 in the first quarter. 13 and
Yes.
5.
I don't know what he finished when it came to the assists for the whole entire game. But man, I was like, yo, if he can do this, because my hot take is that he's going to average between like 8.7 and 9 assists a game.
He finished
That's
with
my
4 assists in
opinion.
that game. He had 4 in the first quarter.
That's what I'm saying.
He finished
bro.
the game with 4, which goes back to the original point, Mike. They got more inefficient as the game went.
Right. Because it was more because they weren't making their shots. Only other player that was making consistent shots was Kelly Oubre Jr. His shot is ugly. I don't know how he makes any shots, but he be making them though. He be making them, and I'll be happy for him. But I'm just like, and going to Yabusele, like I just love every time he gets in the game. It just seems like the energy. He's like a Bobby Portis for me. I'm a big Bobby Portis fan.
Yes.
Bobby Portis, it does everything so well. Like he can shoot the three, he can shoot the midi, he plays great defense, he can pass. Yabusele, I'm not saying he's on a Bobby Portis level. I'm not gonna say all that. I'm not gonna be crazy and say that, but he gives you that energy. Yeah. And even though he does, like he loses his train of thought when it comes to like his defensive assignment, it seems like for the most part, when he's in the game, there's something always good happening. So I would like to see him have more consistent minutes as well. But like going back to Nick Nurse, he has to play the young players more. Like Ricky Councils, he seems lost. Like every young player seems lost because they're not. And then when you put them in the game, you only give them like 2-4 minutes. So they don't even get into like any rhythm. Like let them make mistakes. Like you said, Tone, like at the end of the day, right? If you don't play your young players now, when are you ever going to play them? This is the perfect opportunity when you have your 2 big dogs out and like, come on, let's see what they got because you're going to need them. You're going to need your young players. So
some of their, in my opinion, I feel like the players with the most upside. I'm a Council guy. I like Council. I like him, man. He's athletic. He's fearless. I like the dude. I like Yabusele for everything you said. I love that Bobby Portis comparison.
Yes,
because Yabusele,
I love Bobby Portis.
He's not afraid to put the ball up. If he's wide open for a 3, he's going to take it. He's not going to hesitate. I think that's what I like the most about Yabusele's game. He doesn't hesitate about anything he does. He's instinctive. He just plays. And that's kind of refreshing a little bit. Somebody that just goes out there, plays hard. They're going to foul a lot, but he's aggressive, man. I just feel like when he's in the game, the offense looks faster. They look like they're able to do a lot more in the screen game, the pick and roll game. They just seem like a much more athletic team when Yabusele is out there. Obviously, you sacrifice something without Drummond, but you gotta do the best you can. I'm not. There's in no world am I starting Eric Gordon, Eastwood. Why am I starting Eric Gordon? I'm sorry. Man. 2 games in a row. He looks slow.
There's 2 players. Players that I thought might not even make the roster are in the starting lineup right now. Like I thought these dudes were going to be like in training camp trying to prove that they still have like a drop of gas left in the tank. And Nurse is like, oh, these guys are here, starting lineup. And we're like, what? You know what I mean?
Those guys
and Gordon,
are spot-up shooters at best right now. They're spot-up shooters.
Yeah. Eric Gordon still has a lot of game, and Kyle Lowry still has a lot of game, but they're 40 years old, bro. They can't play a whole game. They're going to burn out. They got to be in spurts, 10 minutes, 12 minutes type stuff. I'm 38 years old. My hamstring hurts right now from walking up the stairs. You can't play a 40-minute NBA game when you're 40 years old unless you're LeBron James. It's just you either have to have LeBron James freak genetics, or if you're a normal human being from Earth,
you just take care of your body, maybe.
You're gonna, dude, the joints, the muscles, everything. It's not the same. It's a young man's game, bro. You have to play. You can't rely on old guys. You're gonna get cooked.
So let me ask you this thing, because I'm curious about your thoughts on this, right? Because like I said, that first game, after watching it, I thought to myself, okay, Maxey needs to play off ball for right now. And I felt the most comfortable starting with Kyle Lowry. Like, I don't mind Kyle Lowry starting. But then, once you get into the thick of a game, I don't need Kyle Lowry playing for extended minutes. You get what I'm saying? I like him as the kickstarter. And then you start getting McCann involved. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you guys like it the opposite way. Start with the young guy and then let Kyle Lowry come in and relieve him in 4 or 5, 6 minute spurt, whatever it may be. But I feel like Kyle Lowry. I've seen, in my opinion, he's been passing the ball. He's been getting assists. He's been shooting well from deep. Out of all of them, he's been shooting best from deep.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
So he has value, and he's going to play aggressive. He's going to play hard. I like him to start games. I may not like him in the in between. You get what I'm saying? Like I want McCain. I want McCain heavy second, third quarter. So I have Kyle Lowry at his best at the beginning of that game and at his best towards the end of that game. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I didn't anticipate a point guard issue coming into the season, and I should have seen it, because really last year Tyrese Maxey was balling with Kyle Lowry starting. And again, I'm not overhyping Kyle Lowry. I'm just saying that's really the only like pass first point guard you have on the team, at least that Nick Nurse is playing so far. And last year Tyrese Maxey off ball, like you said, he's one of the best buckets in the league. He just has to be free. He has to be running around screens. He has to be getting downhill. He's one of the fastest. Right when I love the Allen Iverson comparison as far as play style, because right when Larry Brown saw Allen Iverson, he was drafted as a point guard. Right when Larry Brown saw him play, he said, nope, he's a 2. He's a 2.
Right.
I need this dude sprinting around the floor. Nobody can stop him. Give me any guy that can pass the ball at the 1. And who's Eric Snow? You know what I mean? It was Eric Snow. It was any facilitating point guard, Man. So that's why Tyrese Maxey looks so good with anybody like that on the floor. And now I'm like, damn, in the offseason, that should have been one of the priorities. Get a staple facilitating point guard and let Tyrese Maxey run, because he's just such an unstoppable bucket at the 2. And then he can be a little bit of a playmaker, but he's not a pass first facilitating point guard, you know what I mean?
He's
so yeah, that's I didn't see that coming. And that by the time the trade deadline comes around, that might be what we're talking about. But back to Jared McCain, he's the only other one on the roster that you can, I think, put in that slot. And it just seems like Nurse doesn't trust him yet. But if you're going to be out there losing to the Toronto Raptors G League team,
you can't trust anybody.
Right. Just put him out there. And when you did put him out there, you put him out there with 2 point guards, and he's just standing in the corner. So, yeah, I'm on board with I want to see more Jared McCain. I really want to see Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey on the floor together.
Right.
I know Jared McCain's a scorer too.
We haven't seen that, have we?
We saw it for like 3 minutes in game 1.
Yeah.
And McCain, again, was just standing in the corner. I want to see him on ball running like at the 1 to see kind of what he looks like as a point guard with Tyrese Maxey running at the 2 spot, I think. You know what I mean? So we'll see if Nurse resorts to it, because again, running with all these 35 to 40-year-olds ain't gonna cut it. You know what I mean?
We need to change. It's all on Nick Nurse. Like Nick Nurse, if he doesn't make that change, I mean, it's just not gonna happen. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see it happening. It's gonna be Kyle Lowry for the whole season, starting with him. You know what I mean? I don't see him changing up as much as I want McCain to start. I think that's gonna be a great idea to start him next to Tyrese Maxey and see what happens. But this is crazy. Like when you was watching the Raptors game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that they had 11 blocks in the first half?
Bro, it's
the first quarter.
Bro,
it was like
how many blocks do the Bucks have, man? We gotta lead the league in getting our shot blocked.
But I don't know what the heck I was watching yesterday.
Bro, it blew my mind seeing how often they were getting their shots pinned to the fucking backboard. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm saying to myself, hold on, wait, is this the Bucks game all over again? Because in that Bucks game, let me double check real quick. The Bucks had 14 blocks.
Oh, they had.
I'm sorry, they had 9 blocks. The Bucks had 9 blocks.
I was about to say
they had 9 blocks.
9 is still a lot.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, but they had 11 in the first half. The Raptors.
That's insane.
To G League the players that you know what I mean that are.
Jakob Poeltl's a guy. Jakob Poeltl's a guy. Jakob Poeltl's a sneaky good interior guy.
Very sneaky good player. Like, but if you notice,
But
let me ask you guys this too, right? When you were just watching the game, right? Forget the details and the nuance stuff. When you just were looking at it visually, didn't the Raptors just look way bigger than the Sixers?
Longer,
taller, just bigger, more athletic.
I had a tweet. Today that said every year, no matter what the roster looks like on paper, the Sixers end up short, fat, and old.
They look like
it just does.
Yo, and it's crazy because I was taught. I don't want to say trash, but I was kind of like, I was talking about Scotty Barnes yesterday, and I was like, Scotty, I don't know if I would consider Scotty a star, all that kind of stuff. And he does have an all-star on his resume in the Rookie of the Year, so like he does have that on the resume. But I'm like, okay, maybe in Toronto he's a star. I don't know if he's a star anywhere else. And then he drops 28 last night, or 8 for 11.
Yeah.
So right.
just a physical
defense.
A physical freak of nature. What is he, about 6'11"? What is he, about 6'11"? He's big as hell.
He's
huge,
nice.
Bro.
He's
strong as shit.
Turn around.
But I think realistically for his career, like on a championship team, probably a 3. You know what I mean?
3.
Probably a really good athletic third option.
He's 6'7", 237. That's probably not accurate. I'll probably give him 6'8", 240. He's a big dude.
Right.
He seems taller than 6'7".
That's what I'm saying. He looks bigger
taller,
than that, bro.
yeah.
I'm looking at him. He looks like the biggest dude on the floor. He just looks like a he looks
hustle,
like a football
man.
player.
Yeah.
Hustle. But like, what's up with the perimeter defense? Like for the Sixers, the first 2 games they're getting destroyed. They can't stop nobody from shooting the 3. And then the paint is wide open. I don't know what's going on with that as well. It's just like the paint's wide open. You can't stop the perimeter. We had Dame Time looking like the old Dame Time the other night, and then we had what's the bull?
Dame was cooking.
Torian Prince and Connaughton killed them in the second and third quarter.
Connaughton and Torian Prince, man, it's wild. Torian Prince. I thought Torian Prince was on his way out, man. We're the Sixers. That's one thing they also do. We revive players' careers, also, man. I thought Torian Prince was long gone.
Yeah, like that is crazy. Yeah,
because last time I saw Torian, he was on the Hawks at one point, and I don't know, but Torian Prince. That's when that game got out of hand in the second quarter. The moment Torian Prince made them back-to-back threes on both sides of the court, and then Dame came in and made his, I said, okay, this game is getting out of hand. That's when I knew, because that game was about, because both teams weren't shooting well in the first quarter in that Bucks game. They weren't shooting well. It was very physical. Both teams were playing pretty good defense. Yeah. That second quarter came. That game pretty much came down to who was going to find their offense first. Right. And the Bucks found theirs first, and they were able to ride it, and they didn't lose it. And the Sixers just got progressively more inefficient as the game went. And the story goes the same for the Raptors. Game 1, perimeter defense, I feel like, was the biggest issue. Game 2, interior defense was the big. Like, they were getting destroyed in the interior. Guys were cutting easy back doors. Easy. It just looked so elementary. The things that were letting happen to them yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't know what. So it's just like, and you got a coach in like Nick Nurse's caliber. He's big on defense. So it's just like, what are you teaching? Like, what's going on? Like, what's up with the road? And then there was plenty of times, I'm not sure if you noticed, where the switch happened when it was Scotty Barnes and Tyrese Maxey was guarding him. You know how many times that happened yesterday?
No, bro, that happened a lot.
I said,
how does that happen?
It happened too many times, and I'm like, yo, what the heck are we doing here? And then he's backing down Tyrese Maxey. I'm like, where's the double team? Get him out, get the ball out of his hand. Bro.
Yo, did you guys notice this too? That back-to-back games, these teams, these opposing teams, they have zero respect for the Sixers from deep. Zero respect.
Oh, and that's
they say, you know what? We're playing a zone all day. We'll take our chances. We'll much rather lock this paint down.
Oh yeah,
and we'll much rather just watch y'all take threes and miss. That's
story as old as time.
That's basically what these past 2 games were showing me. Like, teams do not respect them from deep at all.
The past 2 playoffs. Ever since Eric Spoelstra said, let's just go zone and see what happens. And it just, again, it doesn't matter who's on the roster. You go zone against the Sixers, nobody can make a 3. And the only way to break a zone is to make a 3. And the zone kills us, man, a lot. But a lot of these issues I expect to get cleaned up. It's just miscommunication, especially defensively. Again, a bunch of new guys. And it looks like everybody's just running around and looks like a pickup game. It doesn't look like there's much order or anything. So I expect after a couple of games and a couple of practices, we'll start to see all that stuff get better. And you got guys like Yabusele, man, who, dude, incredible athlete, 6'8", 275. He's a monster. Love his energy. And he's just coming from the Euro League, and he's literally learning how to play NBA basketball again. You know what I mean? He fouls because he's very physical. You can get away with that over there. It's not ticky-tack like it is in the NBA. So he's getting called for fouls and looking at the refs like, what? I thought I was, so there's a lot. And the pick and roll defense, there's not as much pick and roll in the Euro League. So he's dropped coverage all day, especially in the Bucks game. Dame was just calling a ball screen and shooting a wide open 3 like 2 or 3 times in a row with Yabusele standing in the paint, because the Euro League is a lot more ball sharing and spreading the ball around the perimeter, and the NBA is a lot of ISO and a lot of pick and roll, and there's just a lot of things that he has to get used to. But I'm a big Yabusele fan so far, man. I got a couple super chats we got to get to real quick. My Davon Schoolboy, thanks for supporting the channels, my guy. When Dwayne Casey's system doesn't work, Nick Nurse sucks, he says. Edwards McCain would have been a good options last night. We're going Justin Edwards already, man. Wow. And Maxey needs a Draymond type because he's Steph Curry 2.0. A Draymond type would be nice. Or just a point guard. Back to the like starting Lowry again. Maxey looked good alongside Lowry in the first quarter, and then when Lowry goes out, I want you to keep that same kind of rhythm going, and you're going to have to put another point guard in there. I think you should always have a pass first point guard on the floor with Tyrese Maxey.
Absolutely, right. Yeah, I agree, and that goes back to your point about McCain, right? And here's the thing: McCain's a rookie; he's going to always defer. So who else do you want out there passing the ball to Maxey? He's going to look for him all the time, and he can shoot. He can shoot. Right. You got to just get again. You got to give the young guys a chance. And there was another observation I had from the game last night. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Let me just ask y'all this question: how do you guys feel about KJ Martin? I feel like he flies under the radar, and I'm trying to figure out what he does particularly well.
I think he's a great I'm getting Matisse Thybulle vibes, to be honest with you. Like, I think he's a great defense. I love watching him play defense. He was locking up Giannis one-on-one. He was locking up Scotty Barnes when he got him one-on-one last night. He's a really good on-ball defender. He holds his ground. He's very strong, dude. Scotty was trying to move him last night. Giannis tried to move him off the block, and he stands there and just won't move. He's very strong. But really, there's no offensive side of the ball with KJ Martin at all. He's crazy athletic, but one of those guys that he just doesn't have much basketball skills, to be totally honest with you. But he's an incredible athlete, and he's a really good defender. So I think there's use for him, but that's why they did the contract so that's why they ballooned his contract so they could probably trade him at the deadline as a throw-in, because I don't realistically think KJ Martin has much value around the NBA.
Yeah, I second that. I just feel like KJ Martin is very athletic, but he doesn't bring enough on the offensive side of the ball to stay in the game too long. But like when you said he was guarding Giannis, I was like so surprised. I was like, oh, he's about to get cooked, and he stood his ground. I was like, wow, he did his thing. So, and he's underrated on the defensive side of the ball. Like Matisse Thybulle is a perfect example of like his gameplay. I mean, I don't know how good of a three. Can he shoot the three pretty well? I'm trying to think of him shooting threes. So he's like a Matisse Thybulle, but I would like to see maybe even a little bit more. I think he gives us the energy we need on that defensive side of the ball, especially since they was just destroying us in the paint. Like they was destroying us in the paint with the pick and rolls, and just it was wide open a lot of the times. Both teams, the Raptors did it and the Bucks did it. But I'm actually trying to figure out what the starting five is going to be when Joel Embiid and Paul George is finally healthy. Like, is it going to be Lowry? Is it going to Tyrese Maxey? Is Caleb Martin coming off the bench? Is he starting? Is it going to be Kelly Oubre Jr. starting or coming off the bench? I like Kelly coming off the bench.
Same.
I like Kelly coming off the bench because we need that Lou Williams to come off the bench and give us some points. That's how I'm looking at it. But I'm curious what the starting five is going to be. Is Yabusele like what are we doing? So.
It's a good question. If I had to give you a lineup now, I kind of like what you said already. I like and again, I know Lowry's old. But if you can weave in Jared McCain to relieve him properly throughout the second and third quarter, you'll have a very optimized version of Kyle Lowry in the first quarter and fourth quarter. So I like Kyle Lowry to start at point, Maxey at the 2. You could put Caleb Martin at the 3,
right?
PG at the 4, and Embiid at the 5, or you can go Lowry, Maxey, PG, Yabusele, Embiid. But does that feel clunky? That feels a little clunky, doesn't it?
That might work. I don't know.
Because Yabusele's going to run. He's going to run fast, and he may be able to take some pressure off Embiid defensively because, Yabusele, he doesn't care about taking the toughest assignment. He throws his body around. He can probably be that physical enforcer that Embiid may not have to be all the time while he's on the floor.
That could work.
I kind of like that lineup. I don't know. What do you guys think
Sean
about that?
Williams says, I need Kyle starting at the end of the bench no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah, look,
He's
I
been the
agree
most
that
efficient shooter, though. I can't
Yeah.
get mad at it.
no, I agree
Yeah.
that he's good and he still has something left in limited minutes. It's
Yeah.
hard to predict what Nick Nurse is going to do because
don't have
game
no clue.
one, you know, Maxey was starting at point, and then he was like, "All right, let me put Lowry on the floor with him." It's hard to tell what he's going to do when Embiid and Paul George are back. I could see Maxey going back to the one
Mhm.
and him playing. Just hold your breath for this one. Eric Gordon at the 2 and Caleb Martin at the 3 in the starting lineup. I wouldn't be shocked at that, man. I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think Eric Gordon's the only like kind of true shooting guard on the team if Nurse puts Maxey back at the 1. And he has that, you know, prefers experienced guys over everyone else. I'm not saying I would like it, but I'm saying I think Nick Nurse would do that.
I like Gordon off the bench, man, because he's
Yeah.
going to play defense and he can shoot. He's a 3-and-D guy, right? He's not putting the ball on the floor. Don't look for him to do that. But I just feel like he's better off the bench, man. But to your point, though,
He is.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Definitely.
to your point, that may be what Nick Nurse just may do, man. But you got plenty of experience without Eric Gordon in your starting lineup. Embiid,
Yeah.
PG. I mean, Caleb
Yeah.
Martin has plenty of playoff experience. You feel what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah, everything's
You
gonna look
gotta-
so much better, man. Even if we just get PG back and Embiid's still out for 2 weeks or something, just having a creator like Paul George on the floor frees up so
Mhm.
much.
So much.
Not just Tyrese Maxey, but everybody else. And yeah, like Maxey and Paul George should be able to win a lot of games together this season.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like we can get into the Embiid stuff before we get out of here because I'm not even sure what's going on with Joel Embiid. Part of me feels like the ownership group is totally lying to us and he has an issue that they're not talking about. You know, the NBA's investigating the 76ers. We might as well change the name to, you know, the Philadelphia Investigation 76ers because every year the league's like, you're doing something fishy and we're going to look into it, whether it's tampering or load management. But yeah, give me your guys' opinions on the Joel Embiid thing. Like, I've never seen. I understand load management, but I've never seen somebody be load managed in the beginning of a season. That doesn't make any sense to me personally. I don't understand it unless there's an injury. He had surgery last year, played in the playoffs, played in the Olympics, had the whole offseason to get in basketball shape, and they're like, well, he's not going to start the season because we're ramping him up to start the season. Why didn't you ramp him up to start the season before the season started? It seems like you're showing up to work late. You know what I mean? You're putting on your uniform and everybody else is clocked in. Like, what do you mean you're ramping him up when the season already started? I'm so confused by it. And people point to like Kawhi Leonard or anybody else. He is injured. He has knee swelling. They're not saying that about Joel Embiid. There's no injury listed. They're just saying load management. Load management is if you play a back-to-back or if you play Friday night, you don't want him to play Saturday night. That's load management. Recovering from the game that you just played. He didn't play a game yet. That's not load management. I'm so confused by it.
I agree.
I'm gonna just say this, man. I'm big on the center position. My favorite player, honestly, is Joel Embiid of like all time. I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people are probably gonna be like, "Stop the cap, Mike." But
it doesn't sound crazy. I think
favorite,
I mean, that's your favorite, though. I mean,
okay.
You know what I mean? That's your favorite.
My second favorite player is Tim Duncan. I'm a big Tim Duncan guy. But you know, this is the thing, right? Man, we at the end of the day, we trying to get a dang on championship. It's been 40 years, so I understand from their perspective, but it just sucks. And you know, I used to be in the military, and you know what one of my senior NCOs said to me? He said, "Embrace the suck." You know what I mean? Embracing the suck. Sometimes we went through the process, and we went through a lot being, you know what I mean, over the years, being Sixer fans, right? You know what I mean? We drafted Ben Simmons, we drafted Jahlil Okafor, we drafted Markelle Fultz, we drafted Michael Carter Williams, we drafted a lot of players that we shouldn't have drafted over the years, but I say embrace it and embrace the suck because at the end of the day, I truly feel like if we're healthy at the right time, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel and we will be number one this season. That's just my honest opinion. I'm super optimistic for this team because I don't want to think like, dang, we ain't never going to win a championship with Joel
But
Embiid.
what do you think? But what do you think about load managing the beginning of the season? How is that load management?
I
You know what I mean?
I just feel like maybe I think Joel Embiid just talk too much. It's not. I don't know if it's load management. What if he's really hurt? Like I don't know.
I'm glad you said that, Mike. I was about to go there and say that.
Because when you think about the Olympics, right? When you think about the Olympics, like he played, I didn't see him limping. I didn't see none of that. So I don't know what the heck is going on. I just think that they're just being extra careful, and they Joel Embiid said too much, and I think now the NBA is like, no, we're not doing this. So, but it sucks. It's the principle. How do you play the Olympics win your gold medal, and then the first game of the season you're out? It's something going on, and it just sucks, man. It's not. I don't believe
it's either.
I hope
it's either
not injury. I hope
it's either one. Yeah, it's either one of two things for me. It's either knee swelling, some kind of like problem that they're not telling us, or Joel Embiid's out of shape again, and he's always out of shape. I know he's huge. I know he's 7'2", 275, and you know, I don't want to go down the like knee issues and at his age and his size and things like that. But I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was like, this dude's always out of shape. He doesn't care. He's always out of shape. And so I don't know, mate. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, he looked slow in the Olympics. Then you have the whole off season and you're still ramping up. Like, does this guy maybe just never get in shape? Does he never do anything? You know what I mean? He was 245 in college. Google what he looked like at Kansas. He was shredded, ripped, 245, bro. Why can't you get?
What is he?
Why can't you get back to 245?
Gotta be
people like he's never going to get back down to that weight. Why not? What's he eat, bro? I don't understand. I mean,
at McDonald's.
I don't get it.
See, my thing is basketball. Go ahead.
There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to get cardio without running. You know, like he could. Right. Why isn't his big ass in a pool swimming laps or something? Get him down to 250, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. Get in the pool. That'll definitely that's a stress-free way of getting shredded in the pool.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know if he can swim. I don't want to assume that he can swim either. You know, that could be a problem if somebody can't swim and can.
Big ass ain't gotta swim. Just
put a life vest on him or something.
Just get in that wave pool and just start doing it. What you talking
about? He needs to do something, man.
I don't know if he can swim, but
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he can't. What's the other reason?
Put his goofy ass in one of them workout pools. He just runs in a place like this. Come on, man. But yo,
that's true. He can stand in the deep end. He can stand in the deep end. That's true.
7 feet, bro. 7 feet in the deep end. He can't drown. I just thought about that. He's 7 feet tall. Like, but Mike, I'm with you, bro. Like, first of all, you don't come out before the season even starts talking about, I'm never gonna play it back to back again. You don't say that. You don't say that. You showed your hand to the league, and now the league already looks at y'all funny. So when you come out and say that, you're literally putting a microscope on the organization, and then you don't play the first game. Like, that makes it look even worse. So this whole Joel Embiid injury or non-injury or ramp up thing is hilarious. And I have a hard time. Again, this goes back to the question I asked you guys off air, right? Are the Philadelphia 76ers the least trustworthy organization in the city? And I think we all pretty much agree that they are. I mean, they're so backhanded, and they never let you know what's really going on with Joel Embiid in particular.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand it. At the end of the day, we know he gets hurt. It is what it is. She tells what's going on, so we can at least know how to maneuver going forward. But why would you be honest with your fans when you know the season's about to start and you need that money to come in? You're still trying to make sure that new arena gets built, which I'm pissed off about. But
they never been honest, man. I remember when they were telling people when Ben Simmons broke his foot and they were like, he's coming back in January. He's coming back in January. January came around. They're like, oh, he's out for the season, actually. Yeah, they wanted to sell those season tickets. So people were like, Ben Simmons coming back in January. We're going to get everybody together. And then they were like, nah, never mind. He's out for the season.
Yep. Took team photos and everything. And that shit was a dud.
They had banners hanging outside the arena. They're just selling a product. That's all they're doing.
Selling a product, man. And that's why That's why they got try to tell people, like, it's nothing wrong with being, supporters and fans of your favorite team, but don't forget, this shit is a corporation. This is a business.
Right,
and they will always do what's better for the bottom line than what is best for you and your experience. It's always about the bottom line in these leagues, NFL, NBA. It don't matter. It don't matter about anybody. It's always about the bottom line. If it wasn't about the money, the WNBA players, they wouldn't have opted out of their CBA and went back to the negotiation table. It's always about the money. It's always about, what we can, how can we optimize value. So, when it comes to Joel Embiid, dude, I'm totally on board with making sure he's ready for the playoffs. I'm totally on board with that. The NBA has already made it very clear that the regular season holds almost no weight to the playoffs, just with how the game is played, right? Chucking up threes, no mid-range game during the regular season, just threes and layups. The analytics nerds have taken over the sport. So therefore, the regular season has lost its value, and now it's all about the playoffs. So in that case, if do whatever it takes to get that man ready for the playoffs. Now, I'm not for sitting him out a first game without no sort of stress being done to the body yet. We haven't even seen him play, and already we're talking about load management. I want to try to make sure I draw a line between my two competing feelings here. I'm not on board with them sitting him the first game, especially with us not knowing what's going on. I'm not on board with that, right? I'm not on board with Joel Embiid coming out talking about he's not playing back-to-backs. You don't got to say it. Just do it.
Right.
And then when it comes to the playoffs, I am on board with them being very measured with his usage. But it's a fine line. You got to walk with that. Here's why. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to face a team like the Boston Celtics, who had 14 or 15 players come back from the previous season. Their continuity is intact. They're in midseason form now. You know what I'm saying? What I noticed over this first week of NBA action is the teams that are winning are the teams that have the most continuity. So again, I don't want this to be a Brooklyn Nets situation where Tyrese Maxey, PG, and Joel Embiid are only in the lineup together for 20 games, 15 games throughout the whole time they're together, right? So you got to get these guys on the court. You got to, in my opinion, I need at least 60 games with all three of those guys playing together this season. I need at least 60. And I feel like I'm being modest. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I don't see it being 60 games, man. As much as I would love to see that, but I don't see that happen. I feel like they're gonna miss more than 20-something games.
It's going to be a rotation type of thing, right? Like Embiid's playing tonight, Paul George is out. Paul George is playing tonight, Embiid is out. I see that happening like all season long.
The chemistry has to be on point, because like you said, like the Boston Celtics, their chemistry is going to be on point. They're the defending champions.
Did you see what they did to the Knicks? I mean, was it the Knicks?
Ryan hyping that up.
When it comes to the Celtics, I'm just watching the Sixers for entertainment at this point because nobody's beating the Boston Celtics. Let's call it what it is, bro. That team is locked in. They brought everybody back. They got the chemistry. They got the defense. They got the facilitation. They got the stars. That's a juggernaut, bro. I'm not even like, I have to see a lot more from the Sixers for me to even say I want to watch a Sixers Celtics series at this point.
Man, bring it. That's my mindset. Bring it.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Listen,
but I get what you're saying though, because the Celtics. See, I just don't trust. And I know. Look, Jason Tatum is a good player, but ESPN. Did you see ESPN's top 100 list?
No, I missed
players. They got Jason Tatum as the 5th best player in the NBA. Come on, bro. Jason Tatum is not even, in my opinion, he's not even the best player on his team. That's just my opinion. So how is he a top 5 player? I don't believe in Jason Tatum. When the playoffs last season, if you watch the playoffs, he couldn't score at all. He was terrible. He was getting cooked on defense and he couldn't score. He did have some moments where he had like a couple of 50-point games, I believe. But overall, it was Jaylen Brown. It was Porzingis coming off the bench, giving you 20 on both ends. It was Porzingis and Drew Holiday and Drew White. Holiday it's just like, it wasn't Jason Tatum. It was dumb.
When they were who was it that traded Drew Holiday back to the Celtics?
The Bucks.
It was the Bucks.
Bucks, yeah. When they were about to trade him, man, I would have sold the farm for that dude, man. He's so damn good, bro.
When we traded him after his first All-Star appearance, I was so pissed.
We gotta be the stupidest.
I was started the process, bro. That was the beginning of the process.
It was.
Don't even get me started. Don't
I
even
got
get
his
me
order,
started on
man.
Sam Hinkie and analytics and, letting guys that never played a sport be in there trying to change the whole it's all anyway. Um, before we get out of here, man, super chat, the truth. Ricky Council needs Eric Gordon's minutes. It was so painfully obvious that you cannot play two old guards next to Maxey against an athletic team. Ricky Council, Ricky Council confuses me, man. I was a big Ricky Council advocate last year. I think
I know.
in certain lineups or a certain amount of minutes when he's not expected to do anything, he's a really good utility guy that's going to fly up and down the floor and be aggressive. Then you watch him in like the summer league or the preseason, and he's just trying to do too much, obviously, because he's trying to make a name for himself a little bit, and he just plays very out of control and throws those jump pass turnovers and like frustrating things from Ricky Council. But I don't know if you can play Ricky Council a lot of minutes in an NBA game. I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
That's a good question.
got
I mean,
mixed
obviously, you want to
feelings.
see more. You want to see more from
Yeah,
him, right?
that's
You want to.
what
You
it
want
is.
to. I don't feel like they played him enough last year, but you want to see more. I want to try to reserve judgment to say what he is and what he isn't. But I know
Right.
what you're talking about, though. There is a
Yeah.
certain level of like anxiety with his game. Like it seems like he's trying to just get going. He's trying to get going.
Right.
And I would love him as somebody who just comes off the bench. He fills in at at the 2 or at the 3 or whatever. I think he should be in the rotation. He should be. I think Ricky Council can give you a quality 15 minutes a game. 15, maybe depending if he's feeling it, he can give you a solid 13 to 19 minutes a game. Like I don't mind Ricky Council coming in on spurts, being a spark plug, being aggressive, a change of pace guy. But again, when you got guys that's young, athletic, they're hungry like this, put them on the court. See what they got, man. You see what they got.
Yeah, let them get him rhythm. The only way he's going to get in rhythm is if you give him consistent minutes. Once you give him consistent minutes for a few games, then we'll have a better, understanding if he's able to be on the team, or get minutes. If you don't play him, you're just not going to know. But it's just like, I don't know, maybe he's trying so hard when he gets in and he makes little mistakes because he's trying to prove to Nick Nurse, like, yo, I belong on this dang on court. But he's just not getting consistent minutes, and so I just don't really know. I just don't really know. If I'm just not sure. I mean,
And we see so many different lineups these past 2 weeks. These past 2 games, we've seen so many different lineups, so many different combinations. They're soul searching for that formula. But regardless, it's funny. Regardless of everything we talked about throughout this whole hour, my thumbnail says no chemistry, no hustle, and that game, these two games, chemistry and hustle, in my opinion, were at. I feel like they hustled better in that Bucks game. I mean, they won the boards, but that Raptors game, out hustled. Just outplayed, out everything damn near in that game. So, no matter who you got out there, if you're not hustling, if you're not knocking shots down, what are we talking about?
Because not everything shows up in that box score. Like you said, hustle, the little things, boxing out to get rebounds. You know what I mean? And it's just like the only 3 players that I could say that hustled like for both games so far is Tyrese, Yabusele, KJ Martin, and
I feel like Drummond. I feel like in that last
Drummond.
I feel like Drummond was hustling his ass off in that Raptors game. Like there was a point in that game where it was almost like he had like free throws back to back, like back-to-back plays. I think he tried to pass it, they stole it, he blocked it, and then he's trying to make something happen. He's one thing I will say about Drummond, he looks like he is leaving it out there. Right. He look like he's trying, man. He's trying. I could respect that, but he's limited offensively.
Right.
And he wasn't brought here to be a starter. So as much as we criticize his team, we do got to reserve judgment to see what they look like at full strength.
Yeah, absolutely. And I expect all of these problems again to not linger because Nick Nurse is the kind of guy that he holds players accountable. He gets in practice. He gets in the film room, and he's not. I say he reminds me of Doc Rivers in the fact that he likes old players and he trusts old players and he won't play the young guys. But my main gripe with Doc Rivers, I think, was that I don't even think they practice. I was always like, what is really like? He was just such a passive friends. Players type of coach, and Nick Nurse is a guy that he tells a story about bringing Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry into his office after a terrible game and pointing in their faces and saying, "You guys are the leaders. You guys are playing like shit." You know what I mean? You guys, us three, we're the ones that are gonna get all the heat. And he's not afraid to hold
I like that.
star players accountable and leaders accountable. And so I'm sure Nick Nurse wasn't too nice to the entire team after last night. So I expect
Now,
some things to change for sure.
yeah, my final word. One thing I will say, aside from Nick Nurse, why does it seem like the Sixers, they just keep going into the recycle bin for coaches? I mean, again, I'm not trying to get Nick Nurse out the building, but I've been thinking about this for a while. Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse, right? But then I look at some of these other teams that are up and coming, these young teams that play well. I ask myself, where's our Darko Rajakovic? Right? The guy that coaches the Raptors. He coached those guys up. He beat us with two-way play, 10-day contracts. Where's our Darko Rajakovic? Where's the coach that plays for where's our Chris Finch? You feel what I'm saying? The Minnesota Timberwolves coach, right? A guy that came out of nowhere. He got the best out of these guys. Where's our Mark Daigneault, the OKC head coach? There are these coaches who seem like they come out of nowhere and they just know how to get the most out of these young rosters. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think they thought it was Brett Brown. You know what I mean? He was like that young no-name coach and then a couple years of underperforming with and dealing with Ben Simmons. Maybe Ben Simmons is the
Taylor
reason
Jenkins
Brett Brown.
Memphis, Taylor Jenkins coaches Memphis up very well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But it's a lingering thing from the Brett Brown thing, all of the inexperience, and they were like, all right, we need somebody experienced, and they hired Doc Rivers strictly on experience, and I think Nick Nurse is a good blend. He definitely has his flaws, but I think he's a smart guy, and I think he's a top 5 coach in the NBA.
Fair enough.
The reason why it's like that, we getting big name coaches, is just because it's win now. We can't take no chance with a coach that is not established, that doesn't have no resume in the NBA, that hasn't won anything. So it's just like, all right, we're gonna go for Doc Rivers. He got a championship with the Boston Celtics. All three of us could possibly do that. I'm not trying to come at Doc Rivers, but all three of us can coach that. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul
4 Hall of Famers.
And, yeah, know what I'm saying? Rondo. We could probably get a championship with that. But then it's just like we have to have the best opportunity to win a championship. So we had to get the name, and on top of that, someone that already established and got a championship. So I think that's pretty much what it is.
Oh, good call, Sean. Ime Udoka was here, man. He was an assistant coach. He was the guy. He was the one that got away.
The one that got away. Maybe if he was in Philly, he probably wouldn't have had that scandal in Boston.
I got a question.
Ime Udoka, Isaiah Joe scored the first points for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Isaiah Joe
got away.
There's
a lot that got away.
When we drafted Isaiah Joe, I said, yo, he's a player. I saw it immediately. I watched him. I'm like, yo, he's a player. He can shoot. He's got to get stronger. He can play.
Right.
And we let him walk for popsicle sticks. Like,
that's Doc Rivers, man.
They released him. They didn't even trade him. They released him. OKC
was Doc Rivers didn't even play him.
He's a beast in OKC.
Now he's starting on a championship level team.
Don't make no sense. And then what was the center we got rid of too? The young
was it Bassey or was it
one of the centers? I don't know what it. Yeah, him. Okay, he was solid. You know what I mean?
There was another here we had too. There's another one too. I feel like we got rid of.
Bassey's backing up Wemby right now. We released him and Isaiah Joe at the same time. We needed a backup center at the time. He's 6'10", 250. We released him and Isaiah Joe. The OKC signed Isaiah Joe, and Greg Popovich in San Antonio immediately signed Charles Bassey to a 4-year contract. And then he broke an NBA record for rookie rebounds off the bench in a single game.
That's Doc Rivers' fault. I'm blaming that on Doc Rivers. We got rid of 2 young players that had the potential to be good for the Sixers. Now they're doing good for other teams. So thank you, Doc Rivers, for not giving our young players an opportunity. But I got a question for y'all, man.
If you can bet on a team to do things wrong, you would win a lot of money with the 76ers.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
I got a question for y'all, because we were talking about point guards, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is y'all opinion before CP3 went to the Spurs? What do you think about that? Would you be willing to take a chance on CP3 before he went to the Spurs? Do you think he'll be good with the Sixers?
I'd rather have CP3 than Lowry.
All right, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, people look at
athletic.
Yeah, people look at the age and say he's done just based on the age, but Chris Paul is one of the best point guards to ever play.
That ever
Uh,
right.
you know, and even at his age right now, his just facilitating mindset is out of
Oof.
this world. He's
Yeah.
throwing no look lobs to Wemby like almost behind his
Yo,
back with
oh
his eyes
my
closed.
gosh.
And you
So,
know when he's on the team,
Uh,
ain't none of that slacking shit.
but he's gonna get hurt.
right.
But he's gonna get
That's the
hurt too.
He's going
That's
to
why we
get
gotta
hurt.
limit
know.
his minutes. We gotta limit his minutes. But
Yeah,
man, that would have
Yeah.
been a nice pickup for the Sixers. But that's
it would have.
I was just thinking
It's
about
a
it.
risk. It's a risk for sure. But you know, like I do think he's a better option than Mike Lowry for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, man, this was a lot of fun, man. Sixers
enjoyed this.
Saturdays, we're calling it, man. Every Saturday, 10 a.m. Mike
Yep.
Sports Vibes, Tone Deshields, and myself are going to be up here talking about the 76ers for about an hour. So thank you guys for joining me, man. And I look forward to doing it again. And thank everybody that's in the chat and viewing, and hit the like button one time before you leave us. You guys got anything else?
Nah, man, it's pretty much all my Sixers talk. You guys, I appreciate the love. It's funny, I tapped in with Eastwood about a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Listen, man, I'm getting back into my Sixers bag. You know, I'm thinking we should link up." And he was like, "Bro, I was thinking about the same thing. I got my man Mike vibes, and you know, we were just talking about something too." I said, "Listen, I love to work with Mike." You know what I'm saying? So I did a crash course on your content, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I got to get my man Mike. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you
yeah.
guys definitely having me. I appreciate you guys for making yourself available to me. Goes a long way with me. You guys, you know the vibes, you know the energy. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to everybody. Subscribe to Running Back Philly. Subscribe to Mike Sports Vibes. We're all building this thing. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. We're not only covering your Philadelphia 76ers, we're giving you guys Philadelphia Eagles talk daily. Every single day, we're talking Sixers and Eagles. For the most part, you guys are getting live streams 2 times a day, depending on how things go. You might get a third live stream. So just know the content is rolling each and every day on all 3 of our channels, and definitely on Chalk It Up Sports. So make sure you guys click the links down below. Subscribe. I appreciate the love. That like button is currency in this YouTube space. We don't eat without that like button. So make sure you guys stay locked in, stay engaged, and let's continue to have fun.
Yeah, man. I just want to say shout out to Eastwood for bringing us together. Tone, keep doing your thing. I was checking out your channel. I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm a hybrid sports
That's
fan.
okay. No, that's cool. That's cool, brother. I see the throwback
know,
Vikings behind you. I
yeah,
see it.
yeah,
You good?
yeah. That's Adrian Peterson. You know what I mean? We ain't going to talk about
mad.
his personal life. We're going to talk about the greatness on the dang on football field. One of the best running backs of all time. So on my channel, I'm a hybrid sports channel, and I cover the Vikings, I cover the Phillies, and I cover the Sixers. And good vibes over bad vibes over here. We just going to have fun. We're going to enjoy our teams. And yeah, man, check me out. Mike Sports Vibes. We go live for every Viking game. We go live for almost every Sixer game, and we're going to be going live for the Phillies too. If the Phillies can get it together. I don't know. I'm trying. You know what I mean?
All right, boys. Talk to you soon, guys. Appreciate it.